for now 10 years. Every day for 10 years, I've been bullied and attacked. And I was the most trolled person in the entire world. Man or woman.
But every single time I went to work, and when I came back, if I was stressed, the moment that I held Archie, he would start crying.
Go inside yourself, go into your heart, where all the love is, and stay there.
That billion-dollar industry predicated on cruelty to get clicks.
You don't have to wait until you're lying on the kitchen floor in the fetal position.
I had to wear nude pantyhose all the time. That felt a little bit inauthentic.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Scandalous Media. It's Angel here, and Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's Australia tour was interesting to say the least. And if by interesting I mean a scam, then yeah. Because nothing says scam like people paying $3,000 to spend time with you for an event marketed as a weekend retreat, only for you to stay less than 2 hours. And actually, event attendees claimed that she only stayed for 30 minutes, more on that later. Merchant closed while visiting Bondi Beach attack survivors, empty crowds, and embarrassing moments all plagued their Australia tour this time around, and when you compare it to 2018, the difference is hard to ignore. And I'm not even getting into that whole teacup throwing drama from last time. If you want that tea, check out my latest video on betrayal. If you like these videos and want me to keep doing them, be sure to like and subscribe, put those post notifications on so you don't miss the live chat premiere, and follow us on social media. Don't touch my man. Look at the way Meghan glares at this advisor who puts her hand on Harry's back to get his attention to the people upstairs. The woman is their long-term chief of staff, Sarah Fosmo, so it wasn't any random lady who isn't supposed to be near them. But the sweet smile at Harry drops right away, and Meghan's killer stare at her chief of staff is hard to miss. Watch Meghan as she literally suffocates her desire to give us an inside look at what happens behind closed doors with her staff, which has warranted all those bullying allegations over the last 8 years. She goes back to smiling as she grabs for Harry's hand next. Now, if you know the lore with Meghan and Harry at these types of events, you know that she has been caught slipping one too many times when it comes to her being rude to other people, looking mean and unapproachable, or just trying to control the situation. She would always get caught glaring at Catherine in this way, and it pretty much became a regular thing for Meghan. She would easily be taken off guard and the camera would get her looking angry or glaring at another woman. Ever since then, I've realized a greater effort to keep a composed nature, smiling politely, almost excessively, so that no cameras catch Meghan in the nature that she's usually described as controlling and mean. The issue with that is that when you perform empathy and kindness, it's hard not to come off robotic. The performance doesn't end, merching pain. When Meghan was listening to a survivor of a terror attack speak, it was uncanny to say the least. She looked like she couldn't care less, even with her raising her eyebrows, excessive blinking, the smile that literally looks sarcastic, looking off to the side, and not being able to maintain eye contact. She scans the person in front of her talking, goes back to closing her eyes as she performs an empathetic smile, and then forces a look of concern to say, "How's everyone doing now?" And then watch as Meghan just looks at the survivor speak. She just looks awkward and like this isn't something she wants to do. Now, if I didn't know the context behind this video, I'd use it as a meme and caption it something like, "Me, when I don't care about what someone is saying and I'm waiting for them to wrap it up so we can eat dinner." But even with sound, her reactions are even more bizarre. And it's like she makes the whole thing awkward because then the guy starts talking and she's just standing there staring, and he's like stuttering, almost like he doesn't know what to say to her reaction.
So, horrific stories that no one should ever really experience. Let me introduce you, thanks, Jessica.
Yeah.
That's when Meghan clocks in with her soft, breathy question and says,
How's your mom doing now?
My daughter, she's processing a lot. She doesn't want to talk about it, but little things come out and I get to
And as the woman is talking, Meghan gives the empathetic glares and getting closer moves another shot. It's safe to say it doesn't exactly come naturally for her. Here's a different angle and portion of the video where Meghan takes the survivor in a big bear hug. And it's a bit awkward because they're just staring at each other in silence, and that's when the guy next to the woman tells her to like describe the scene to Meghan, and Meghan's reaction to this is, well, I'll just play the clip.
I think as you may describe the scene a little bit.
Darling, go inside yourself, go into your heart, where all the love is, and stay there. We'll lay there together in this heart space.
The raised brows, the deadpan stare. I mean, I personally wouldn't be comfortable opening up when this is the body language I'm receiving, but to each their own. And I guess so that there's some movement and Meghan isn't just staying stagnant in place looking like a robot, she does her little blinks and then 3, 2, 1, closes her eyes empathetically and hands up to her nose to display wiping away a sniffle.
Together in this heart space, in the midst of horror, how much time passed but we survived.
There are a few things in this world a person can't fake. One of them is being interested or moved by the pain of others. I guess the Oscars won't be calling anytime soon. But it gets worse. In this video, Harry and Meghan are talking to another man who's venting, and Harry doesn't seem to care much for the theatrics. Maybe he's actually moved by his story, because he's just listening with a concerned look on his face. The contrast with Meghan, who's right next to him, is hard to miss. The hand around her neck pose, looking down, posing as distraught, the long blink, the deep sigh, all of this is happening in just under 8 seconds. It's this type of body language that does the opposite of what Meghan attempts to portray, which is this kind and loving, empathetic woman. If that's what you got from these clips, then it's nice to see the good in everyone, but for most people, it's this constant reminder that Meghan seems to just exploit other people's pain for a photo op. And throughout the trip, you can see Meghan physically just posing during the conversation instead of actually being involved or truly listening to what's being said. I feel like the only thing going through her head is, imagine how the camera's going to get me, pose like this, hand on my cheek to show you care, look sad. And it's those photos that appear on the one-off page where Meghan advertises her looks and gets paid a percentage from the sales. Get the look I wore to meet terror attack survivors. And it's a bunch of photos of Meghan posing with her big fat smile. One-Off is an AI-powered fashion platform, an app that allows users to shop curated, celebrity-inspired looks. Stars who are verified, such as Meghan, can earn affiliate revenue every time a fan purchases an item. And this is why the late Queen did not want them abusing the royal titles for personal gain, because the line between being public servants and commercializing off of others is very thin. Because every outfit she wore on this Australia trip, whether it was meeting terror attack survivors or sick children in the hospital, was free promo for this app where you could basically shop the look. So if I'm shopping the look of you meeting with civilians who are sick or in pain, what impression does that give? Well, of course, that it's all a photo op. She got a lot of backlash for this, and the media reported that she pulled the ad afterward. But she didn't. She just changed the photo of her and Harry going to the beach where the attack happened, posing with big smiles while everyone around them wasn't, to a photo of the same outfit at a different point in the day, just not on the beach itself. But again, that's not all with Meghan and Harry, because as usual, it gets worse. The AI hypocrisy. Here's a clip of Harry talking about companies that create things pretending to help others when really it's fraud.
A word for that, isn't there? When you as a company, you've created something pretending that it can provide this kind of a service when actually it can't. What's it called?
What's that called?
What's the word? Fraud.
Fraud. Yeah.
That's the one.
Fraud. That's fraud. Bingo.
Fraud. There we go.
The irony about this is that he's criticizing AI, saying that he wants to add both his and Meghan's voices to the conversation.
An AI expert.
Yeah.
But I would definitely add my voice and my wife's voice, raising the alarm bells that unregulated AI is going to cause more harm than good. And I don't see how this industry can get away with what they're getting away with.
And yet Meghan is getting away with merching outfits and looks where she goes to sick children and poses with them, gets the publicity and her coin. Meghan, it really can't be that bad. There must be other ethical ways of making money, because this is just insane, and this little hypocrisy dance that she and Harry always do, where they criticize something that they are doing while being hailed as those making a difference, is just insane to see.
It's the bigger strategy, like are you looking at AI or biotech or e-commerce or...
AI, man, aren't you a little bit scared by AI? We have to just
Meghan spends this entire clip talking about the dangers online and how she doesn't know much about it, only to go ahead and invest in an AI company.
I just don't know enough about to want to jump in with both feet. But yes, I mean, when it...
And ready for some word salad where Meghan throws around buzzy words to make it sound like she gives one crap about the greater good?
But yes, I mean, when it comes to women, finance, healthcare, and tech, yes, I mean...
She's then asked,
Are you using AI?
and instead of answering like a normal person, she goes into this tangent about,
last week someone talked about ChatGPT, which of course everyone's talking about ChatGPT. I hadn't experienced it before. I'm shocked. I'm a little bit vintage in many ways.
I'll stop you right there, Meg. Vintage, not vintage, clearly this lady has gotten with the times if we have excelled to merching and promoting affiliate links at these charity stunts. She's somehow been able to make millions off of spilling the tea on a 1,000-year-old monarchy. So this little old lady stunt, I don't understand tech or lunchboxes still being a thing act, well, she should just save it. I'm not gonna play the rest of the clip, but she continues yapping about how I still write handwritten notes and stamps on letters and Siri isn't on my phone, and this whole thing of not being caught up in the tech world.
I'm not caught up in the day-to-day tech things that most people are.
Because, she's just so different and we should learn from her because she's not like the rest of us commoners.
Oh, I don't want people to lose critical thinking. I don't want people to lose critical thinking.
It's the people who actually lost critical thinking that are the ones that still give Meghan and Harry their support. Critical thinking is actually what we do here on Scandalous Media. And I'm all for laws protecting us from unregulated AI, but I'm not gonna listen to the disaster merchers over here that accuse the royal family of all this nonsense on Oprah and Netflix, only for the call to be coming from inside the Montecito house. But anyway, back to Australia. People notice that Meghan makes the same exact face when talking about being trolled online as she does when listening to this survivor. And if you ask me, I personally think she was amused by the confession that she believes she's the most bullied person online ever over the last 10 years. And I did an entire podcast episode when the clip first came out, and I'm going to talk more about it in a bit. But Meghan does have a habit of smirking and looking amused at inappropriate times. We saw this today with those insane faces she made listening to a terror attack survivor. We saw it at the Queen's funeral. We saw it during the CBS video when Harry and Meghan promoted the Parents Network that they now dropped. And if you watched my video about that, it was even more bizarre because Harry was fear-mongering parents by going on a rant about how you don't know what your kid is up to and they could be, unaliving themselves randomly. And then Meghan jumps in with a huge smile on her face directly after he says that to say their kids' ages. Take a look.
And before you know it, within 24 hours, they could be taking their life.
Our kids are young. They're 3 and 5. They're amazing.
That's a real clip, no cuts. Harry talks about kids taking their lives, and Meghan decides to say that with a big smile right after. She gotta take up comedy instead of playing the role of a victim, because it's funny how bad she is at the role of being an empath. Trolled or inflated ego. My favorite moment from the trip was actually this.
For now 10 years, every day for 10 years, I've been bullied and attacked. And I was the most trolled person in the entire world. Man or woman.
Definitely check out my podcast episode I did discussing how not only bizarre this statement was, but how it is literally not true. One thing I do want to point out is look at how amused she is while saying that. She's saying it with a smile, almost like it's an accomplishment that she is that famous she holds the record for most trolled human alive over the last 10 years. She says it with such an upbeat tone, a huge smile on her face, and not like something that is upsetting to her. One of the qualities narcissists exhibit is this grandiose sense of self, an inflated, exaggerated sense of self-importance where they view themselves as superior, dominant, and entitled. She displayed a lot of these narcissistic qualities in her Harper's Bazaar cover story, which I broke down intensively. There, the author of the interview notes how Meghan had someone announce Duchess of Sussex out loud, even though she and Meghan were the only ones in the room. So much for that. Call me Meg.
Lovely to meet you, Duchess. You're like, call me Meghan.
Yeah. And the most important title to me is Mom ramblings because we can clearly see how much Meghan strives to and needs to feel important. So when she announces her achievement with absolutely no data to back it up, just ego and delusion fluffing it up, that she deems herself as the most trolled human, not just a woman, but human in the entire world over the last 10 years, she says so with a big fat smile. Unfortunately for Meghan, I don't think she has that level of fame. As I said in my podcast, she does get a lot of hate, and some of it is unwarranted, whether it's how people criticize her looks or how she dresses, but most of the backlash she receives is because of her reputation and actions. It's the fact that no one has anything good to say about Meghan Markle, whether it's her former employees, her upcoming former employees since they're always losing them, her co-workers, fellow celebrities, or even bosses. To make matters worse, she's always caught in a lie, whether it's lying about when she and Harry got married on Oprah, leading to the Archbishop to actually come out and refute her claims or else his job would be on the line, or lying about supplying information to a PR book meant to make her look good, hence why she had to apologize in court. So it's not baseless accusations when it comes to Meghan being rightfully called out, something she deems as trolling. And as someone who covers far more famous people than Duchess trolls, I can confidently tell you that even though she receives a lot of warranted backlash, she is not, and was never, the most trolled person of the month, let alone year, let alone decade. First of all, Trump has gotten trolled much more than Meghan has, and oftentimes it's for a good reason. Second of all, no one is that famous that they are relentlessly the target of the media unless they go looking for it. The only exception here is maybe Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift, or Britney Spears. Do you know what happened to Taylor Swift in 2016? She got into a huge fight with Kim Kardashian and Kanye West that sent her into hiding for a year while everyone rebranded her as a snake. Taylor definitely takes the cake in 2016. And speaking of the Kardashians and Kanye West, they're always trolled by the media, social media, the general public, and in general. Demi Lovato probably takes the cake in 2020 or 2021 for that Froyo rant or the time she sang Skyscraper to an alien. And actually, many celebrities were cancelled in 2020. Justin Bieber was a target of a massive hate train with his comeback with Yummy, and the media refusing to use updated photos of him in order to continuously perpetuate this narrative that something is wrong with him.
This was a time where I was really unhealthy. I was battling Lyme disease, right? All of the top photos are me looking disheveled.
And he is actively trolled to this day. Hailey Bieber has suffered a lot at the hands of the media, general public, other celebs, and even brands egging on her cancellation during her hate train, where people sought to avenge Selena Gomez, who not only provoked a lot of the Bieber hate, but actually gets a lot of hate herself. Katy Perry when she went to space, J-Lo when she was the internet's target that one summer, Beyonce when they thought celebs had to sacrifice themselves to her to win a Grammy, Diddy when he was rightfully cancelled, hell, Epstein was definitely a lot more trolled than Meghan was, former Prince Andrew, anyone who hit it big on TikTok, Megan Thee Stallion during the Tory Lanez incident, Drake during the Kendrick beef. I mean, Kendrick got the entire world calling Drake a you-know-what. I know it's a shock for Meghan to hear that she's really not that relevant in the grand scheme of things, but when you actually cover true A-listers, it's easy to see right through a self-serving story. And anyone with a brain will tell you that no one stays the target of the media for a decade straight. You will stay a headline if you give us headline-fishing actions, such as attempting to spill the tea on the royal family on Oprah, on Netflix, on Archetypes, in Spare, and more. Then you could expect a reaction. But the irony comes at the fact that Meghan seems to be the biggest troll there is. What do you call making fun of the royal family, specifically the Queen, acting surprised that she had to curtsy to her, and saying it was some medieval times thing?
Medieval times, dinner and tournament. It was like that. Like I curtsied as though I was like, pleasure to meet you, Your Majesty. Like, was that okay?
Or, sorry, are things only a troll when they fit Meghan's victim complex? Meghan sat on Oprah straight up lying about why Archie didn't have a title, claiming racism even though Charles hadn't become king yet, or the fact that she even mentioned Catherine's mistreatment of the press by calling her the very same name that taunted her for years.
Called Weighty Katie, waiting to marry William.
Taunting the Queen behind the scenes, but then forcing out one tear at her funeral, knowing you didn't treat her good, and everyone around you knew that too, sounds a bit like trolling, huh? She then goes on a whole rant about how this industry is just here to maximize clicks.
Industry, that billion-dollar industry that is completely anchored and predicated on cruelty to get clicks.
Which is very interesting to hear because the entire rebrand of Harry and Meghan post-royal life was this clickbait of them telling their story in their own words for the first time ever, and then proceeded to tell it for the first time ever like 20 times. Everything she has done is clickbait, starting with the Oprah interview all the way up to now.
I left my career, my life, I left everything because I love him, right? And our plan was to do this forever.
Yeah.
She wants to talk about cruelty and essentially exploiting other people for that clickbait, but what was it exactly that Harry did in Spare as she guided him? He exposed private messages between Catherine and Meghan where he unironically made Meghan look insane by confirming how cruel she was to Catherine when she reduced her general concerns to her being hormonal. If a man told Meghan she isn't thinking clearly because of baby brain or her hormones, she would have gone on a bigger rant than the one she went on for Oprah. But because it was Meghan saying that to Catherine, it was justified, right? It was justified how Harry wrote about how Catherine grimaced when Meghan wanted her lip gloss by essentially making her the bad guy, right? Was it justified when Harry laughed at William balding, not only when he read it out loud for the audiobook version, but also in that interview?
His alarming baldness, more advanced than my own, his famous resemblance to Mummy, which was fading with time.
But it's this lack of self-awareness that continues to turn people off. Once she starts to get to the root problem of why people don't like her and their very valid reasons, maybe she can heal her relationship with the public. But until then, it's going to continue being more of this. Lies, awkward moments, and more hypocrisy. On one of the days of the trips, Meghan wore this dark green dress with, trigger warning, pantyhose. At least you would think it's a trigger for her considering what she said last time.
I had to wear nude pantyhose all the time. Let's be honest, that was not very myself. I hadn't seen pantyhose since movies in the 80s when they came in the little egg. That felt a little bit inauthentic.
So Meg, enlighten me, was this you being inauthentic? It's funny because she goes on a whole rant about dressing however you want and saying whatever you want, implying that she wasn't able to do so during the short 72 days she spent as a working royal.
When you're able to dress the way you want to dress and you're able to say the things that are true and you're able to show up in the space really organically and authentically.
But from what we've seen, she dressed however she wanted and said whatever she wanted during those days too, as she does now. Check out my Tom Bower betrayal video for more, but in a nutshell, not once did Meghan hold her own desires back during those days. She always did what she wanted, with absolutely no respect to her new role. It's like applying to be a second grade teacher and coming into work with a club outfit and then wondering, gee, why are parents so upset? Aside from the blatant hypocrisy, it's this idea that Meghan always had a habit of blaming the royal family for things that were her personal decision at the end of the day, such as claiming they banned her from wearing bright colors. Meanwhile, her entire color palette over the last 6 years has been mainly those neutrals she claimed oppressed her, and the examples here are endless. Here's a massive lie that Harry and Meghan got caught up in. Harry mentioned how he had a therapist in the UK to help him prepare for the birth of Archie because he didn't know what to do.
The biggest tip that I was given actually from my therapist in the UK was just be aware of how you feel once the baby is born. There are hours, days, weeks, for some guys months, certainly for me it lasted a couple of weeks, where you are wondering what to do.
Remember what he and Meghan both said on Oprah? They claimed that Meghan was suicidal while pregnant and had no one to turn to, even going as far as claiming the palace denying her help. She said, "I went to one of the most senior people to get help," adding that she also went to the royal family's human resources department and plainly said, "I need help." She claims that she was told, "There is nothing we can do to protect you because you're not a paid employee of the institution," and that at this point she was, quote, begging for help and telling them, "I am concerned for my mental welfare." She said,
"I went to the institution and I said that I needed to go somewhere to get help. I said that I've never felt this way before and I need to go somewhere. And I was told that I couldn't, that it wouldn't be good for the institution."
And that she was essentially denied mental health help, which ultimately led to their decision to leave the royal family. And Harry, who later validates these statements by saying that he didn't have anyone to turn to, that he's trapped within the institution, not knowing how to get support in a way that was accepted internally, and that there was a lack of understanding around mental health inside the family system, got therapy for the simple fact of, "I don't know what to do once the baby is here." And yet his suicidal wife was sent to HR? None of it makes sense, especially since Harry was already lying about the palace denying mental health talk, even though William, Catherine, and Harry launched the Heads Together campaign in 2016 to end the stigma surrounding mental health and encourage open conversations to normalize seeking help. So, as Oprah would say, what is the truth? This is also the same event where Harry says that when he goes to work, I know what you're thinking, when and where exactly is he going to work, but nonetheless, he says that Archie picks up on his stress and starts crying if he holds him when he's stressed.
But every single time I went to work, and when I came back, if I was stressed, the moment that I held Archie, he would start crying.
And did Archie tell you this, Harry? Because he starts this off by saying,
It became very clear to me very quickly, again, assisted by conversations through therapy, how much kids can pick up on energy.
So your therapist told you that the kids pick up on energy, which is definitely true. I mean, all those kids not wanting to pose with Meghan, as we'll see later in the video, definitely pick up on some sort of energy. But so you concluded that whenever you hold your son and he cries, it's because he's feeling the stress you're feeling?
So very quickly, it got to a point where I came back from work, I'd stand at the door, I'd use the 45-minute journey to sort of like unwind a bit, but if the feeling was still there, he would notice it quicker than I could.
Not only do they stress all of us out, but apparently their kids too. I don't know how I feel about this. What do you guys think? Because Harry doesn't have a stressful job or a job at all. As we recalled, Spotify couldn't find him a job, so they were brainstorming a bit where he reviews different types of hot chocolate. And unless you count choosing to sue the press and choosing to talk your family as a job, then to each their own. If you go looking for stress, you will find it. He's not exactly working 80 hours a week or clocking in a shift at an oil rig. So if baby Archie is crying when jobless Harry holds him, I mean, there might not be any hope for the rest of our kids and the stressors of this economy if even Prince Harry can't shield his stress energy. I hope Australia enjoyed whatever this was, because I don't even know what he's saying, since all we know is that he and Meghan clocked in 1 hour per week on their taxes that 1 year, so I'm very intrigued to see where this work stress is coming from. But let's continue listening to his word salad.
You don't have to wait until you're lying on the kitchen floor in the fetal position.
The language he uses is so performative because he doesn't know what true stress is, so he resorts to Wattpad exaggerated language, probably something he learned from Meghan, who for a very long time was described as dropping to the floor in tears at every single moment. What would someone like Harry, who's lived quite a privileged life with unlimited access to all kinds of help despite his claims, know about true struggle? He thinks hardworking fathers take it out by lying on the ground in the kitchen in a fetal position. Instead of taking this moment to reference, I don't know, actual statistics of the effects of male loneliness or even how lack of mental health resources have led to substance abuse or even DV, he chooses to paint it in a performative dramatic language similar to that clickbait Meghan was talking about. Here's his advice that he should probably take.
It doesn't have to be professional therapy. It can be talking with your mates. It can be talking to a complete stranger. But being able to relieve some of that pressure, that stuff from the past that's stored in there.
Hey Harry, is it also talking to the press? How about writing a scandalous book about your family or boasting about your kill count in war? How's that for relieving some of that pressure from the past that's stored in there?
You want to be everything you assume your kids want you to be.
Estranged from both sides of extended family, capitalizing on your royal roots instead of helping the general public, and selling out your family to the press? I wonder if Archie and Lily want mommy and daddy to be like that, or if they'll one day deal with the long-term effects of growing up with a fame-hungry mother and an unhealed, resentful father.
While I'm being so open with you, there have been many times when I felt overwhelmed. Times when I felt lost, betrayed, or completely powerless.
I just don't know if anyone is ready to hear about a privileged prince cry about overwhelm and feeling powerless with all the money he's got and the platform he has, especially when most people are stressing about rent, insurance, affording groceries, and overall the pressures of real life. Not whatever fantasy Harry lives in. Because in this fantasy, he gets paid $40 million for a tell-all book attempting to expose his family. Pretty sure $40 million would change all of our lives, right? I doubt that any of us would be standing there crying about feeling overwhelmed because the media doesn't like me since I'm a proven liar and a crybaby. But maybe we could be like Meghan, trying to relate heroin to not being on social media. You know, part of her ongoing push to control the narrative around her.
Where it is so rampant is harrowing. I know. So I'm really curious, even with that, when the ban happened, did you all decide to no longer be on social?
Now, what do you know about heroin, Meghan Markle, and what qualifications do you have to be ranting to impressionable teenagers about such sensitive topics? And judging by her, I know, I'm assuming the crowd looked at her like, huh? What are you saying? Ending this section with this video of Meghan and Harry at a rugby match in Sydney, with Harry's body language completely shielded away from Meghan, with his arms crossed and just leaning away from her in total. You see Meghan awkwardly sitting there, laughing and smiling to herself, while clapping mindlessly as no one pays her any attention.
It's a nice bit of synergy there as well. Yeah, there is. Chef Guillaume Brahimi up the back, and we mentioned Peter Cosgrove and his wife, Lady Lynn, up the front there.
It's funny because I don't think she knows how to just chill. She's always on and performing. Like, take a breath, Meg, you'll be okay. But after this next section, I really don't see how anyone can respect Harry and Meghan at all. Hospital photo ops and sick kids as props. Check out this clip of Meghan and Harry trying to bond with this kid, and in these types of interactions, Meghan often comes off so painfully awkward, while Harry seems to be in his element. I know, a rare occasion, but then she chimes in with something I like to call media fishing. It's hoping that she could say something that the media will pick up, kind of like giving the algorithm what it wants. So the kid showed Harry a traditional ball made of animal skin that he said was wombat, even though his dad clarifies that it was actually possum. But watch how Meghan is actively thinking. You can practically see the gears turning as she tries to figure out how to spin this into a headline.
What was it?
There's wombat.
Awesome.
And what does she come up with? Some book that the kids apparently love.
You have that children's book, Diary of a Wombat? Our kids love that book. It's so good. Diary of a Wombat. He's very cheeky. He thinks he got a book.
Harry doesn't even jump in with anything to add because he's probably never seen the kids with that book, and the entire interaction kind of fizzles out after. On the way to the interaction, they're walking down the stairs and Harry's hand is in his pocket. Watch as Meghan clips onto him to claw it out for the perfect photo op and smile to match. And while he's saying hi to guests, she couldn't help but pat him down and rub his back.
You did great yesterday. It's good.
Even at this rugby match that they attended, she always has to gesture to Harry like, here you go, you have permission to go now. We actually see this type of PDA throughout the trip where it makes you feel like you're interrupting something when they can't go 2 seconds without convincing the public of their love during a work event. It's one thing if it's a dinner date, but it's another thing when you're at an alleged charity event. Such as that messy scam retreat that I'll talk about later, but Harry and Meghan share a quick kiss and it's giving performative PDA. You can go 20 minutes without having to prove your love to everyone. Of course, this and more was all covered in Meghan's reel, also known as a fan cam of herself. As usual, she is the main focus of the video. Here's another moment where Meghan and Harry are interacting with this little girl, and watch that claw that's honing in on a potential perfect PR shot. As usual, the child isn't interested, but at least she gets this picture, which I don't know if she even wants because the child's body language tells us everything we need to know. There is something so eerie about sick kids being taken out for these photos to sit next to Meghan with the tube still attached to their faces as she smiles as them here or as she takes them out for a walk. And of course, Meghan is at the front of it all, not one person obstructing the camera's view as Harry is somewhere in the back. But even the idea of them meeting with sick children for photos while the kids look kind of uncomfortable as they're used as props is a little weird. What's even crazier is that a source at the hospital quoted Meghan as saying, "Let's make this quick," and that once the couple entered, the acting started. Don't forget, these photos were later posted on One-Off, where she earns a commission where you shop her doing charity look. One reporter claimed that the children were apparently removed from their hospital beds and wheeled out to be lined up in the foyer for them. She said many of the children who were undergoing chemotherapy, radiation, and other cancer treatments were unmasked, and an Australian nurse reportedly told her, "Who does that? These children are extremely susceptible to germs and they don't mask up after an international flight, and no one even saw them wash their hands before they cuddled those kids." The nurse also pointed out that Meghan visited young patients at Children's Hospital Los Angeles last month and wore a mask. She's quoted saying, "So why not here? This is outrageous." Even stranger, the kids were seen wearing masks earlier, but took them off when posing with Meghan and Harry, leading people to wonder if they were told to remove their masks if they wanted the chance to interact with the couple. And as you can see here, the first 2 kids are wearing their masks, but when Meghan and Harry approached them for this picture, the masks were off. If that was the case, well then, that's just disgraceful. Meghan also wore around $35,000 worth of high-end jewelry as she fed the homeless in Australia. So if the contrast isn't already obvious, well, I don't know what is. But at least she got praised for not having any wrinkles.
Oh, you look amazing. You look like a model.
Oh my gosh, it's so
You do. And you've had children, you've got no wrinkles. Nice glowing skin.
You are so nice.
Later, Meghan and Harry were gifted with personalized flip-flops, and watch as Meghan turns to her social media gal to show them off here, a clip that we see in her reel that's later posted. This goes to show you just how on Meghan is during a trip. She's maximizing every photo opportunity first and foremost.
G'day, Meg.
As I said before, Meghan strikes me as a person who's super nice to animals but really mean to other fellow human beings. Here's another moment where a little girl is coloring and Meghan is sitting on the floor next to her, an ideal photo setup, but the little girl moves her stuff away and then Meghan goes in with that famous claw on her back to rub it and the girl moves away again. And here's this awkward moment with this child whose head is facing down as Meghan goes in for a caring touch. Time and time again, the kids don't want to pose with you, Meghan. Check out this video where Meghan is handed a baby to hold, but the baby refuses and starts crying.
Yeah, you hold the baby, we'll get you. Yeah. Oh, and selfie. No. Welcome to Oh, come on.
It's like that time in Nigeria where Meghan was manhandling this little girl to make her perform for the cameras when it's clear that the kid isn't interested, as you can tell by her putting her face down away from the cameras and Meghan basically forcing it and trying to pose. This is also the same trip where she refused to move on stage for this Nigerian lady who had to wait on the edge by the steps even after asking Meghan to move down, but she completely ignored her. Check out my videos on their bizarre trip to Nigeria because, boy, was it a trip. She couldn't hide the camera obsession then or now as she attended a school event in a backlash dress, and while she's mid-convo with these schoolgirls, turns around to pose for the cameras and walks away. But again, it's interesting that she's using all these kids for a photo op while her kids are yet again locked up inside the house. Is this about protecting their safety, or is she just holding out for a reality TV moment? You tell me. You know, since she had no problem bringing Archie to that trip to South Africa when he was a few months old, even though she had told the Queen she can't see her at Balmoral because Archie is too young to fly. As I said, she picks and chooses whatever fits her narrative best. It's kind of like when she pulled out this famous Maya Angelou quote and repeated it verbatim, saying that it was a quote on a bag gifted to her from her friend that really stuck with her.
And a friend of mine gave me a little bag that had a quote on it that I had put on.
And after much rambling,
and I look at it every single day, and I would share it with you because sometimes I can imagine as you talk about depression or anxiety or the willingness or...
She finally got to the point.
My wish for you is that you continue to be who and how you are, to astonish a mean world with your acts of kindness, and to allow humor to lighten the burden of your tender heart.
At least she didn't claim it was her quote this time. Embarrassingly empty crowds. Leading up to the trip, all we kept hearing is Meghan and Harry's security was compromised, they might not make it to Australia, and this whole show about how the media like the Daily Mail and Sky News Australia is to blame here.
There are claims tonight Harry and Meghan's security has been compromised just hours before they're due to arrive in Australia.
Their spokesman told me this morning that the Daily Mail, the Daily Mirror and Sky News Australia has endangered Harry and Meghan by reporting embargoed details of this week's trip.
Only for Meghan and Harry to show up and no one to be there. They had an entire motorcade of 5 cars only for the streets to be empty, as you can see. Meghan is waving at the cameras, but there's not one soul in the streets beside the reporters who were likely briefed to be there. And perhaps what's most embarrassing of it all was how empty the Sydney Opera House was for their arrival. There are no crowds behind them despite the huge barriers that they put up for them. Even as they're walking here, you can see how empty everything is, and the very small crowd is somewhere huddled in the corner. And quick intermission, what's up with how Meghan is staring at Harry here?
2, 3.
She's probably in disbelief with how embarrassing the turnout is. Especially when you compare how packed it was for Princess Diana versus the crickets they got. Or even the crowds that Queen Camilla, King Charles, and the royal family got in general throughout the years. There's a notable difference, and it even gets funnier with the overhead view, where you can truly see how small the crowd was for them. A motorcade and all those barriers up for what, 200 people? Look at how empty it was. It looked like there were more reporters than people.
Moving right back, right back, right back, right back. Come on, hold on. Yeah. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
The Saturday Telegraph's headline read, "And the crowd went mild," as it compared their crowd in 2018 versus 2026. It's just interesting to see their public downfall because this shows us that people were there for them, and they just disappointed everyone over the last couple of years. At a different event in Melbourne, it was just as empty.
Oh, the cyclists. You enjoying being in Australia?
That's wonderful. It's great to be back.
Thank God the reporters were briefed and allowed to show up, or else there would genuinely be no one there for them. Guess the press ain't so bad, and I guess you need them after all. Here's another angle, and you can see that aside from the reporters with their professional cameras and their bodyguards inflating their role, how many people are really there? 10? 20? And when Meghan went on her walk, look at how many men accompanied her for someone who people aren't really lining up to see. Australians were so unbothered that one beachgoer didn't even care to get up while Meghan and Harry's little entourage walked around her. And no one on the beach approached them, as we can see. They had a modest crowd at the hospital and at the mental health event they attended, but notice how little surface area these photos show. Because once you show an overhead view or back up a little, you realize just how much of a flop this trip was. Remember when Meghan told The Cut that a cast member from The Lion King told her that when she married Prince Harry, South Africans rejoiced in the streets as they did when Nelson Mandela was freed? A quote that she got dragged for by Nelson Mandela's grandson? Well, it just made me laugh remembering that and seeing how empty these crowds are. Not much rejoicing are people doing, whether in South America, Australia, the UK, or anywhere, huh Megs? I'm telling you, comedy is calling her name. But really, this makes you question, well, who's paying for this? And should Meghan and Harry foot the bill? Australians seem to think so.
I think they should pay it outright because it's costing the Victorian taxpayer. They don't pay tax here. I think that if they're going to come here for this event and it's not sponsored by the state, then it should be covered by them rather than the Victorian taxpayer.
Let's finish off this video on one last embarrassing mess. Pay $3,000 to get scammed, a once-in-a-lifetime special deal. Meghan was set to appear as the keynote speaker and celebrity guest for this high-end women-only retreat in Sydney run by Her Best Life. Tickets began at around $1.9 to $3.2 thousand, and it included access to Meghan's talk, a Q&A, and closer seating plus photo with Meghan if you bought the VIP package. And Meghan reportedly got paid $150,000 for her guest appearance. It was marketed as this exclusive weekend with Meghan, but she basically showed up for a Q&A only, which is what her reps say in a statement, emphasizing that she was only confirmed to attend the Q&A portion. Even then, people paid thousands to see her. She reportedly got a hefty check, and initial reports say that she was there for just 2 hours. But as the backlash continued, so did the complaints. Radar Online reports that one insider claimed front desk complaints already coming in. People paid thousands for a girls' weekend with Meghan, not a short 2-hour appearance. This is misleading marketing. Organizers owe answers, and I know some girls are asking for refunds. Another source said, "A friend of mine is absolutely furious. She paid all that money and was promised a whole weekend full of fun, food, drinks, and activities, only to find out Meghan stayed for 30 minutes. And apparently, multiple attendees insisted that she had only stayed for 30 minutes and not 2 hours. Even the Australian news reported that.
The main event here at the Intercontinental in Coogee Beach for a women's wellness retreat, but Meghan was only here for around half an hour.
Now, I don't know if this is including her time on stage or the 30 minutes with the people afterwards, but to make matters worse, the event was claimed to be sold out with 300 women in attendance, but judging from these videos, it seems like that number was inflated yet again. It's a girls-only retreat, and yet Harry was present. Guess they had to fill the seats somehow since it was looking quite empty. Here's another video of the event where you can see Harry, and the video pans across the room, and truthfully speaking, it looks like maybe there's 100 people there at most. What do you guys think? It's interesting to see how small and lackluster this event was in comparison to Pamela Anderson's event, which was also in Australia that same week with Wonderlust and Vogue Australia. You can hear how empty it was for Meghan with the handful of woos we hear in this video, as Meghan is gifted this painting that she'll probably use as firewood if it makes it out of Australia.
Ever having a bad day, you just need to look at that painting and remember that we see you for who you really are.
Here's another video after the Q&A event, and you can see just how few the attendees were. The Times wrote that several of the guests said their tickets had been freebies, with one saying she had been gifted 2 passes by a neighbor who worked at the hotel. All this so they could hear Meghan say, "I've spent all my life investing in women. Can I finally invest in me?" Meghan, who has only taken millions from the royal family, Hollywood, and from anyone really, claims that she hasn't been investing in herself till now. If the past 10 years were Meghan giving back, I don't want to see her version of her investing in herself. There might not be anything left for the rest of us to have. Of course, there was a strict no filming rule, and Meghan spent her time on stage victimizing herself about how her life in the public eye has been difficult and that any criticism of her is just people's projections.
That's funny.
Ah, I told you she's not self-aware. She continued talking about how happy moments in her life, like her wedding and the birth of her children, have been tainted by vicious attacks, and one guest quoted her saying that she wanted to be an antidote for everything online that was vicious, venomous, and unfairly cruel. If she is the antidote, then I fear we're all doomed. If I'm on a weekend retreat trying to relax, the last thing I want to hear is the complaints and victimization of an extremely privileged woman. But hey, maybe that's just me. After essentially scamming these women who lost the right to complain in my eyes, because just like the One Young World disaster I discussed in my last video, Meghan has a reputation for a reason. You can't be mad when you get played by the game you signed up for. Nonetheless, Meghan returned to California and posted on her story this "Welcome Home" banner that I'm assuming she wants us to believe Archie and Lily put up for them. It's so painfully staged, like obviously this was previously planned by you, because kids at that age, well, the most they'll do is draw you a picture saying "Welcome Home." She then shows these books I'm assuming she got for them, and a letter written to Princess Lilibet Diana. Of course that name was going to be covered by the books on top. Now she's merching the kids to sell as ever. There is a Archie and Lilibet necklace advertised here, which is funny because why would anyone want someone else's kids' names on their jewelry? She's also selling $56 candles inspired by Archie and Lily for Mother's Day. Nothing like monetizing the titles in her own children. But then again, what do you expect from someone who basically launches a Shop My Charity Look page? Well guys, this wraps up this extremely long recap of their Australia trip, how bizarre everything truly is, and how they continue to stoop lower and lower. Now, I really want to know what you think down in the comments below. What do you think this year will hold for Meghan and Harry? They seem to be flopping, but holding on to dear life, trying to merch anything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to like and subscribe for new videos every single week. Put those post notifications on so you don't miss the live chat premiere. Follow us on our social media. And as always, I'll see you next time.